On this week's show, we've got a bunch of reselling news, including eBay and Etsy upping the ante with more AI, the United States Postal Service making some interesting changes in July, and a price increase over at Bonanza. What is up, Galaxians? Welcome to episode number 292 of the Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. My name is Ryan, and we've got quite a bit of reselling news this week. We've got several things from Etsy, a couple of things from eBay, some interesting stuff going on at the United States Postal Service that will be really interesting, particularly to media sellers, and an update over at Bonanza, which we have not talked about in quite some time. At the end of the show, we'll also have a What Sold recap. There will be timestamps, chapter markers, if you will, for all of the various content. So if you want to go to a particular platform's news, you can do that straight away. But with that having been said, hey, I always forget to do this. If you get something out of this episode at some point, do me a favor. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button and let the YouTube algorithm know this was a productive use of both of our times. With that said, let's get into this reselling news.
News updates.
We are going to start over at eBay, where they have finally, after a pretty lengthy delay, rolled out in some capacity. It's not fully rolled out, their magical listing AI tool. This article appears over on Value Added Resource, courtesy of Liz. These will, of course, be linked in the show notes and video description down below as well. Does eBay magical listing AI tech live up to the hype after a year and a half delay? After an initial rollout in Germany last month, eBay is expanding magical listing AI tech to all private and personal accounts in the US and the UK as well after that year and a half delay. Does it live up to the hype? So that's the first important thing to note. This is not available at this time for business sellers. It's only for private or personal accounts in the US, UK, and Germany. Back in September of 2023, CEO Jimmy Iannone wowed investors with a demo of the magical listing tool he claimed would allow sellers to just take a picture and let AI do the rest. I wish. Here's what he told investors at the Goldman Sachs Communicopia and Technology Conference back in 2023 after showing them a mocked up video of the magical listing AI experience. The version we showed there, he said, is a product that's currently in employee beta, which is how do I figure out what a product is and do all the hard work so the seller doesn't have to do anything. Wouldn't that be great? And I'll just tell you a story. He continued, we're cleaning up my garage with my wife, and she finds an old remote control from a stereo I had 25 years ago. And she's like, okay, throw this out. Like, Jamie, we don't have the stereo. It's been 25 years. And I'm like, okay, better idea. Let me sell it on eBay. So I literally just hold up my phone to it, he continued, and it figures out what this remote control is. It figures out what stereos it's compatible with. It writes the description for the remote control, and I listed it on the platform. It says to price it $30. I priced it at $30, and guess what? A week and a half later, the remote control sells for $30. That would have absolutely been in the trash without this technology, he concludes. There is a link to the video and the press release in this article if you want to go see that and read a little more detail. If you do, you will note, as this article does, that the mockup does in fact do what he said. After uploading images, the magical AI fills in the title, description, and all other information without the seller having to do anything else, promising listing in seconds. However, since that 2023 announcement, eBay has slow-walked the actual launch while rolling out less impressive tools over time, like the bulk AI listing tools, which was primarily used in trading cards, that still didn't quite meet the mark of where this presentation set expectations. Finally, after this delay of a year and a half, eBay announced last week that the tool is now available again to private and personal accounts in the US, UK, and Germany, with plans to eventually integrate it into business accounts as well. eBay said in their announcement, creating high-quality listings with the right set of details can be time-consuming for sellers. To help, eBay has simplified the listing experience, integrating our magical listing technology, they said, with a guided mobile-friendly listing flow to improve the ease, speed, and quality of listing creation for sellers. So bear in mind, this is, at least at this time, appears to be mobile only. This simplified listing experience now integrates the magical listing technology, which allows sellers to take or upload a product image and use AI to help fill in the item specifics. And eBay has further simplified the experience with a guided, mobile friendly listing flow. Where the previous mobile listing flow started with a text based search for similar listings within eBay's catalog for sellers to edit and customize, this new experience starts with photos and a title. Now, that title piece is key because that's new. The demo that he did back in 2023, he didn't put in a title. He just took a picture, and the magical AI listing tool took it from there and created everything, including the title. This new tool that has been rolled out as of last week, you do still have to put in a title, which is going to be very important as we continue here. It then, they said, leverages AI automation, maximizing image match and inference capabilities to suggest product details. Again, suggest, not to completely fill them in, and suitable categories according to eBay's guided task focused pages so the seller can review and approve content and list more quickly. Again, as we've talked about previously with all of these AI tools, they had rolled out the AI product description tool some time ago, and it is key that you review and approve any of these AI, whatever, the product specifics, the descriptions, and so on, because you are the one that's ultimately responsible for the accuracy of those. eBay takes no accountability for whether or not their AI tool got that right. That is on you. So make sure if you use this tool that you take the time to double check and make sure that that is all correct. We can see the press release is already downgrading expectations. She continues in this article saying the seller will need to provide pictures and, as I mentioned, a title, which is not exactly the capability that was shown in that mockup. The press release also includes a demo video of how the listing tool works, confirming that sellers do still need to enter a title of their own to give the AI context clues, which would not be particularly helpful in Jimmy's example of a random remote control that you don't know anything about in order to get the listing started. So this is it's a slightly dumbed down version of what was originally promised. I suppose we'll find out as this article continues whether or not it works. But the fact that you've got to put in a title, which would lead the AI through a kind of a large language model learning process down the right path rather than the photo, for me belies the whole principle of this thing where you should just be able to take a picture of something and it can figure it out. That is clearly not is not what is happening here. The AI seems to be really relying on the title that you put in for clues in which direction to go. Liz tried the magical listing tool for herself. She does the hard work so you don't have to. First, she says, I uploaded an image of a mouse pad, and just like in the video, it did require me to manually enter at least some keywords in the title section before it even offered the option to use the tool. So, again, just taking a photo is not enough. You've got to put something, at least some keywords, in that title to kind of drop some breadcrumbs for the AI to follow. Unfortunately, the magical listing experience wasn't able to fill in the category automatically based on that title, so I had to do that manually as well, choosing from a few suggestions, including an oddly out of place recommendation to put it in automotive tools and supplies. So, again, mismatches from the AI, much as you experience with, unfortunately, eBay search, where you get some irrelevant results. There is another example, even within the AI listing tool. Finally, it's time to let eBay's magical AI image matching and inference capabilities do their job. Unfortunately, Liz says it appears to only be matching mostly on the keywords, not the actual image, and only returns suggestions of variation listings, none of which appeared to have a variation that would actually match the item. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see there's a whole list of recommendations here. Are any of these your item? And there are some mouse pads here, but there's nothing that specifically matches the photo, importantly, that was used to create this listing. This heavy reliance on text keyword context matching instead of actual image matching isn't a new problem for eBay. Whether it's watch list feeds, the AI powered Explore discovery tool for fashion, eBay's search by image feature, which has been available since 2017, or anywhere else that eBay claims to offer find visually similar capabilities, users consistently report that these tools often provide irrelevant results. I'm to the point I don't even try to use it, to be completely honest, because every time I have, it returns stuff that is just so far removed from what I actually have in my hand, as to be completely useless. She did try, I believe, another one. She wanted to give it a fair chance, so she decided to try again with a different item. This was a Starbucks coffee mug. Once again, had to manually enter a title, but at least on this one, eBay was able to automatically select a category for me, though opinions may vary about whether it should have been in the collectibles category or if a different category may have been more appropriate. So in this case, it did choose one. She makes the point, and I would argue that it probably chose the wrong one, but at least it was in the ballpark. Unfortunately, she continues, we can see that once again, the AI leans heavily on text matching inference rather than the actual image recognition, resulting in a selection of Starbucks mugs that don't actually match the one in the image she provided. At that point, I selected continue without a match, she says, and the listing flow returned to the usual non magical experience to which sellers are accustomed. If that is the best that they have to offer, I would just assume they continue to delay this. You can let me know in the comments down below if you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube what you think. That is horribly disappointing. If I went through all of that with taking the photo, typing in either some keywords or what I thought would be a respectable title, and I still cannot get a match. And then I'm forced essentially to go back to square one and start with the standard listing tool where I'm still going to have to do everything by myself. I've just wasted whatever amount of time that would be, a couple of minutes. But if you do, like I do, 140 listings a week, that can add up to be quite a substantial amount of time spent trying to get their tool, which was supposed to make my life easier, more difficult. If it sounds like she's being overly critical and I am being overly critical, chalk it up to a year and a half delay, while smaller competitors like Mercari, Depop, and Poshmark beat eBay to the punch on AI assisted image based listing. There are mixed reviews on how well those work as well, but they by and large all appear to work better than this one. When Liz tested Poshmark's Smart List AI last fall, she was pleasantly surprised at how well it was able to identify key item aspects like color and style, creating a usable title and description automatically from only a picture, just like eBay has promised, but has so far not actually delivered. So there you go. The tool is available. If you try it, let me know in the comments or join us for one of our Wednesday lives, and let's talk about it. Let me know how it works for you. From this article, it appears that it is not working particularly well just yet. I hate the fact that we seem to be beta testing eBay's software, but there you go. That's what's going on over at eBay with the AI listing tool. They also last week attempted to provide some clarity on seller initiated offer automation. This has been a big issue. Sellers claiming that automatic offers have been turned on without their knowledge somehow. This whole thing is messy. I have experienced that myself, where I have my mobile app set up to not accept counter offers when I send out an offer, and to not automatically send out offers to new users who would be eligible to receive an offer. I want to do that. I want manual control over that myself. I don't actually have a link to it today, but I did post on Instagram to go off on a bit of a tangent. Mercari did just announce today, the day of recording, that they will now, from this point forward, automatically send offers to likers, new likers, for items that you have sent out offers to existing likers. So I come in today and I like the item. You send me an offer, and then someone else comes in tomorrow and they like that item. Mercari is now automatically going to send them the same offer you sent me. As near as I could tell from poking around, again, no opt out on it. At least it sends the same offer. It's not increasing like their offers generally do, where you have to increase the offer to send an additional one. It is at least apparently going to send the same offer. But I would still like If you've been a follower of this channel for any length of time, you know I'm an opt-in guy. I would prefer to have the right to opt in to any of these tools, not to have to opt out. In this case, there is neither. It's just automatically going to happen, which I as I said in my Instagram post, this is probably on balance a good tool to have for Mercari. It's probably a good thing. Most people who are consistently sending offers would send another offer anyway to a new liker, and the ability to be able to do that automatically and to not have to increase the amount of the discount is probably a win. But taking that choice out of the seller's hands, in my opinion, is a mistake. David Lee from Mercari, if you're listening, there's my 2 cents on that one. Anyway, back to this with eBay. A new announcement in their community forum seeks to add clarity to how automated seller-initiated offers work, addressing common points of confusion and promising more enhancements are coming soon. Again, as I started to say before I got off on the tangent, I've had this happen where I have set all of my stuff to be off, and then at some point in the future, I'll go in to do some offers and I'll see that those tick boxes, those sliders have been turned back on somehow. Um, eBay can be a little glitchy. Settings get changed. Things happen all the time. I guess the moral of the story is before you do anything, always double check that the settings that you have selected are the ones that you have actually meant to select, because sometimes they do get changed. The post said seller initiated offer automation every day. eBay sellers send targeted offers to reach interested buyers and drive more sales. To make this process even easier, some sellers choose to automate their offers, helping them engage buyers faster and save time. We want to provide some clarity, they said, on how it works. What you need to know: you are always in control of your offers. eBay does not adjust prices or send offers unless you've set them up. Automation is optional. If you're using Send Offer for the first time, you'll see an option to automate future offers to save you time. Whichever setting you choose will be saved the next time you send an offer. My experience has been on at least 2 occasions, that has not been the case. That default has switched from what I set it to back to being on. So again, always be sure to look. You can opt out anytime. You can search for and turn off an automated offer by going to active listings and filtering for offers sending automatically. And there is a link to click if you want to learn more. The key point with that is there's no way to do that in bulk. You can see all of the listings that you have that are currently set for offers sending automatically, but you will have to edit each of them independently of the others, apparently. What's next? We're always listening to seller feedback and working on improvements. In the coming weeks and months, we'll be enhancing eBay's offer management tools to give you even more visibility, control, and insights into your offers. Stay tuned, and thanks for being a valued part of the eBay seller community. The article continues: despite the assurance that eBay is always listening to seller feedback, that announcement was a locked post, which did not allow replies. We really want your feedback, just not here. Ah, gosh, sellers opened their own discussion thread about the topic, so all is well. I mean, they found a place to go to talk about it, but come on, you can't. Again, probably nobody from eBay is listening, and clearly they say they care, but I'm not sure that they do. Maybe I'm just being particularly cynical today. You can't say in a post that you're always listening to feedback and have that post locked from user feedback. That is just amazing to me. The short-sightedness and the bad optics of that is just unbelievable. Anyway, they opened their own thread wondering why they're addressing this issue now. One said, I find it interesting that they felt the need to something to be said about this now. I wonder if it's due to a recent glitch. I say that because for the second time in weeks, I started getting counter offers for send offers I made. Initially, I thought this may be something new until I checked my settings, only to see both automatic offers and accept counter offers toggles switched on. Again, a problem that I had. I don't know. I didn't pay enough attention, and I don't. If somebody did, and you can let me know. I don't know if maybe this is something that happened with the update of an app from one version to the next, where some default settings went back to their original. Again, eBay being famous for opt out, not opt in. These are turned on by default the first time you go in to look at them. And if you turn them off, and if you then update your app, are they defaulting back to their original setting? I don't know. that to be the case, but that is certainly something that could potentially be causing this to happen if there's an update to the app. So the writer said either I'm inadvertently turning both these switches on when using the app, or it's their way of getting ahead of the complaints. Others speculated that the notice may have been to address common complaints from sellers who believe eBay enabled automatic offers without their input, only to find out they just missed that setting when sending out offers and didn't realize it was turned on. That is clearly we have found out on this show live on Wednesday, there are tools within eBay that some of us have never known about. There are switches and sliders and controls that you may not see, that you may have missed, that may be causing this. Again, it goes back to, in some cases, the UI just not being particularly clear and easy to navigate. But in some cases, this may be a case where a seller just inadvertently did not notice that they were turned on, especially a newer user, and it was turned on automatically. One writer said, I think the main drivers were the frequent questions posts from people who think eBay is enabling automatic offers entirely without user input, when really it's just being enabled when they send offers. But it's admittedly, as I just said, a bad design that's easy to overlook and should be entirely opt-in and not opt-out like it is now. Hi. I don't know who this person is, but I like them. Along with some type of changes being planned that hopefully will be for the best. Of course, we know many eBay changes don't actually work out for the best, but I feel that's usually when they're unannounced or unintentional, as opposed to ones like this that are planned and kind of announced to us, though it's hard to call an announcement of changes that are coming when they don't actually tell us what those changes will be. Again, this writer points out would like those to be opt-in instead of opt-out, and would not be enabled without manual user input, and that there would be a quick way to disable automatic offers that are currently enabled on active listings, and perhaps even a quick way to edit the offer being sent. Again, remember, as far as I'm aware, and this writer obviously feels the same way, there's no way to bulk undo that. Once listings have been set to automatically set offers, they have to individually be reset to turn that off. There's no bulk way to do that. If I am incorrect in that, let me know in the comments and tell us how to do it. Liz continues, that bad design and automatic opt-in have been the source of much frustration for sellers, especially since once automated seller initiated offers are enabled, again, there's no bulk editing option and sellers have to manually edit each item individually. Let me know what you think about that. Have you ever been caught up in a situation where offers were turned on and you were caught unawares? Couple of interesting announcements over at Etsy, and it'll be interesting to see how this works out. Etsy announced a new, what they are calling algatorial curation, which blends AI and human input to power product discovery. This is a really interesting take on this. Um, we can discuss whether or not we think it's going to work or not, but it's definitely an interesting effort. Etsy repurposes their persona-based human and AI curated feeds for product discovery in a bid to offer a more personalized shopping experience with a what they call, again, algatorial approach. Chief Product Officer Nick Daniel debuted the new experience in a company blog post last week, calling it a meaningful step forward on their journey to a more browsable, inspiring Etsy. We're reimagining browsing on the Etsy app, starting with a visually engaging discovery experience that is designed to inspire and delight shoppers. I hate when these platforms use language like that. And celebrate the creativity and craftsmanship of our sellers. Shoppers hungry for inspiration can now browse by curated collections on the Etsy app based on trends, aesthetics, and occasions. These collections are distinct and varied, ranging from timely trends like island luxe to everyday aesthetics like modern farmhouse. Whether shoppers prefer the bookish vibes of the literary girl trend or the bold prints of the maximalist style, it's easy to discover something special or to simply enjoy exploring the best of Etsy. So there's some effort here, not necessarily even to get people to buy, but just to explore the site with probably the hopes that that will eventually result in a sale. But there's obviously an intent here to have people simply get on Etsy and spend some time exploring, which is a kind of an interesting concept. Um, you build some behavioral habits. People are on Etsy, they're looking around. And again, you probably hope over the long run, they do find things that they like and they ultimately make purchases. These collections, they continue, exemplify the power of AI combined with human touch. They are curated by a team of Etsy experts who spot the latest trends and find high quality items to match. After a collection is identified, our engineers use machine learning to expand it from roughly 50 human curated listings to about 1,000. Once expanded, we use large language models to make sure the full collection is aesthetically cohesive, represents a variety of products, and meets our standards for quality. We call this blend of human and AI powered recommendations algatorial curation. Rather than removing human expertise from our merchandising work as AI becomes more powerful, we're leveraging these tools to amplify the expertise of our team and create a more personalized experience. The trend someone sees and the items that appear highest within each collection's feed are based on shoppers' recent activity, including purchases and viewed items. That to me, if it works, is a winning recipe. You've built a foundation of human curated items that you would assume that experts in that field, in that area, whatever it happens to be, have selected the whatever 50 at least coordinated items that make sense within that curated collection. Then from that foundation, you are allowing AI with this additional piece of learning to extrapolate that out to a wider range of items, and then further allowing a large language model to take all of that data plus browsing experience and purchasing experiences that it sees on the site to surface the most interesting and most active items to the top of the list. All of that should be fantastic. Now, you can make the argument that the first pillar of that thing that we didn't talk about here, Etsy search, probably needs some work because right now, Etsy search, as we've talked about on several occasions, is returning a lot of irrelevant results. And if that piece does not work properly, this piece will not matter. But at least in theory, I think this is a brilliant idea. It is a terrific mix of using human based platforming to develop an AI generated broader selection. Let me know in the comments what you think. I, for one, think that is a brilliant idea. The execution, we'll have to wait and see. But at least from a theoretical standpoint, I really, really like what they're trying to do there. The article continues, if it sounds familiar, it should. Etsy tried to launch a similar AI-powered discovery experience, what they called gift mode, at great expense with a Super Bowl ad all of last year. Despite the fanfare, gift mode unfortunately has not had the impact Etsy had hoped for, leading to this latest attempt to push AI plus human curation as a solution for their ongoing and growing problem of lagging sales and active buyers. Again, if the search returns the right results, and assuming that the AI human slash LLM collaboration actually does what they claim it will do, at least this is an effort to grow the business outside of things like increasing fees and forcing people to do ads and promotions. So again, uh, on paper, great idea. Great idea. Etsy, if you're listening, kudos. This is a terrific thought if it works. Etsy has ramped up efforts using AI to boost search and discovery capabilities, but users have noticed, as I just mentioned, an increase in irrelevant results, leading to important questions about what happens when irrelevance turns into potentially harmful sellers stuck in the middle. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the case where the Etsy, someone was searching for a vegan cake, I believe, and the results that were returned included one that was not vegan. The buyer just assumed that because they had searched for vegan cakes, that that's all they were being shown. They bought the wrong cake and had to throw it out. So still clearly some things to tweak here. But this, I will give Etsy a ton of credit. This is at least an attempt to go down the right path. Oh, what is that? Oh, there we go. Whew, that was making me nervous. It said no internet there. For those of you listening to the podcast, my screen just went completely blank and said no internet. Etsy has also made a change in their mobile app and with the integration of other apps to the Etsy app, which is a really interesting growth opportunity for them and partnerships for them. And it may provide all of us potentially with some useful partnerships. Introducing the updated Etsy apps page, a new way to find third party apps to help your business thrive. The right tools. They said this was on Etsy's blog. Can take your business to the next level. Now you can easily explore third party apps all in one spot. The updated Etsy apps page with a fresh look, better organization, and a wider range of offerings than ever before. The Etsy apps page, which was formerly known as integrations, features apps designed to help build your business's particular brand of special. Easily find tools to meet your business's unique needs. Whether you're looking for apps to help you with bookkeeping, writing impactful titles and listing descriptions, or something else, we've got you covered. Get easy access to a wide range of tools and offers, new categories and labels, including a section devoted to what's popular with Etsy sellers right now, help you find exactly what you're looking for. They have posted, and again, there will be a link to this in the show notes and the video description down below, a video on how this all works. I'm going to show you the screen here in just a moment. If you are watching on YouTube, you can visit the updated Etsy app page to get started. They're continually working to add tools that can help you grow your business, whether they're built by Etsy or a third party. They will keep us posted, they say, as new apps are added and updates are made. And there is a ton of stuff available. So their most popular ones, eRank, Everbee, and Printify. That is interesting to me. That is the print on demand, t-shirts, mugs, that sort of stuff. They have order processing and fulfillment. Remember, gosh, it's been a couple of months ago, they disabled integration with all shipping partners with the exception of Shippo and ShipStation. If you were using something like Pirate Ship and your integration was set up, you were grandfathered. Mine continues to work, but if that integration ever disconnects, you cannot reconnect it. So their only order fulfillment and processing partners are Shippo and ShipStation, but they have financial services, Square, Zero UK, H&R Block. They have customer reach and promotion. Again, Everbee, Allura, Marmalade, and more. Business administration. There's a whole list of things, including QuickBooks and Wave, which is the accounting software that I use. Personalization, things like Creative Hub, Customly Product Personalizer, and so on. There are just a ton of different things here. Inventory management. So there are a lot of options of tools that are available that are integrated with Etsy. So if you are an Etsy seller, that blog post should have been available to you. You may have gotten an email even from Etsy about that. Go take a look and see if there's something there that would be useful for you. Again, kudos. We spend a lot of time on this show, and we just did, talking about some of the things these platforms don't do right. These two examples from Etsy this week. Do I have my applause button here somewhere? Let's see if I've got it. Let's do it. Let's give them a round of applause. Kudos to Etsy for making some effort to bring additional tools to sellers and some additional tools potentially to buyers to help make the site work better. I'm rooting for you. So the post office is making some changes beyond just price increases coming up in July. And some of these are really interesting. So this article talks about kind of just generically and broadly what they are. It doesn't cover the specific price increases, but on average, it sounds like price increases in their market dominant areas are going to go up an average of about 7.5%. So there is a pretty hefty price increase coming in July. So be aware of that. I have not downloaded the increase rate table yet to look at. It's still several months away. And frankly, there's nothing I can do about it anyway. So I haven't looked at it, but a 7.5% on average increase is coming. But there are some other big changes. And I wanted to cover these because they, particularly for media sellers, might be interesting. Marketing mail, big changes are on the horizon, including the elimination of automatic basic carrier route letter rates and the creation of a heavy printed matter category for parcels. Flats up to 20 ounces could be moved to marketing mail, and the marketing mail flat carrier route weight limit may increase to 24 ounces. Destination NDC discounts for marketing mail are also potentially on the chopping block. So some big changes there for marketers. So people who send out large catalogs and that sort of thing. Here's one of the really interesting ones: bound printed matter. This is a rate structure that's not available to everyone. It is for just what it says, bound printed matter, and it is actually cheaper than media mail. I get questions a lot about how people sell books for $4 or $5 free shipping. Bound printed matter is one of the ways that some sellers are getting around this. You do have to have a registration, a license in order to use this. But if you sell on Amazon, Amazon allows you to use their license, and they are affiliated with at least one shipping company that I know of that would allow a seller to use this bound printed matter category to save money on shipping, even beyond the media mail rate. This announcement says this rate structure could be eliminated altogether. Flats would likely move to marketing mail. So there is a move afoot. They have announced, as of this recording, there are two sets of price increases for some of this marketing mail, one with bound printed matter continuing, and the other with approval from the Postal Regulatory Board to eliminate that shipping category altogether. So if you are a media shipper who is relying on the bound printed matter shipping method to save money on shipping, if you were not aware of this, be aware of it. This thing may be going away as recently as July, and this might be coming just around the corner. And this definitely would change the math on the profitability of some of these really, really low priced items that you see on Amazon and on eBay and so on. So be aware that if you are using that particular shipping method, that one could be going away. Media and library mail, they may also discontinue 5-digit and basic pre-sort pricing options. So again, bigger sellers, somebody like me, I'm not doing 5-digit pre-sort because I'm only sending one package to a zip code at a particular time. But big outfits are getting a price break by pre-sorting by zip code or by at least by zone. And the move is afoot also to eliminate that and make everybody use the same basic retail media mail individual item rate that everybody pays at the counter. That would be a big change again for these bigger sellers who are selling these books super cheap and are relying on the savings that they receive from these 5-digit and basic pre-sort discounts in order to make that math work. So be aware of that. First class mail and SCF pallet discount is being considered. Bundling for first class mail flats prepared in tubs, however, may be eliminated. Probably doesn't affect most of us as resellers. And there's also some other changes, including marketing mail dimensions that may be changed, and possibly further changes to the non-standard size packaging surcharges. So be aware of that. Once we get a little closer, I'll probably do an episode where I cover in a little more depth what some of these changes are going to be. But just be aware, some of the available discounts that some people are taking advantage of, particularly in media, potentially are going away, and that ground advantage, first class, and media mail rates are all likely to be increasing in July by roughly 7.5%. Last bit of news for this week, and this we haven't talked about Bonanza in quite some time, but they are making some changes. I don't know that they're going to be particularly well received. They're increasing fees, they're introducing new protection policies, and they're tweaking their referral program. Bonanza Marketplace is upping fees for seller as it brings in new protection policies and increased advertising to try to drive traffic to the site. Sellers received the following email last week: "We're excited," Bonanza said, "to share some important updates that will help bring more shoppers to your booth and build greater trust between you and your buyers. Smarter ad technology equals more traffic to your listings." They say, "We are upgrading the way your products are promoted. Until now, advertising was managed at the marketplace level. Starting soon, we're moving to a more advanced booth-specific ad system. This change means more targeted traffic to your listings, giving your products better visibility with the right buyers. We believe this shift is essential for helping independent sellers like you and Bonanza as a platform grow together in the fast-moving world of e-commerce." They are introducing buyer and seller protection. "We're rolling out a new protection program to help build trust with first-time buyers," because a lot of people are not familiar with Bonanza. At Bonanza, We want shopping to be a joy, not a risk. This program will give both sellers and buyers peace of mind, making it easier for customers to feel confident purchasing from your booth. If you use Bonanza Payments and Bonanza Shipping, your orders will automatically qualify for seller protection. That means less worry about chargebacks and more focus on making sales. To be fair, those are all things that, as far as I can tell, every other platform has had for years. They may have changed the terminology. Some of them are now charging for that, charging the buyers in the case of Mercari, where it used to just be part of the seller fee. So those protections that were there that appeared to be free now are there and appear to be paid for, but Bonanza did not have them at all and is now rolling them out. Better late than never, but they are using that as the excuse to increase their fees. And a couple of other things that are really interesting. The email outlined the fee change, which goes into effect May 1st, as follows. The final value fee will increase to a minimum of 11%. No action is needed on your part. You don't have to do anything to be charged more. We'll take care of it. This update will be applied automatically. No kidding. Huh. Anyway, for orders over $4,000, a 1.5% flat fee applies to the portion above $4,000. I wonder if anybody's really ever bought anything over $4,000 on Bonanza. I think my biggest sale over there was probably like $40. So if you drive a sale through your own referral link or via your referral website, you'll earn 100% of your final value fee back as a Bonanza ad credit. The program used to be that you didn't pay final value fees on that sale at all. Now you're getting that as an ad credit. So you'll have to pay for ads in order to recoup for driving business to your own booth. You can see practical examples and comparisons with other marketplaces on their Bonanza pricing help page. That link is in this article, which of course I will link to as well. Note that previously the Bonanza referral program, as I said, allowed sellers to sell commission free. Now it's being turned into a way to earn credits, which can only be used towards ads. Additionally, and this is a big one, sellers with more than 50 active items will also be paying a per item listing fee beginning May 1st. That will be capped at $20 per month. So at least there's a cap on it. But a lot of sellers who are on Bonanza were on it simply because there's an integration between Bonanza and eBay where they update each other in real time, and all the listings that you create and offer on eBay can be ported over to Bonanza. So if you're a big seller, you might have hundreds or even thousands of listings that essentially were going over to Bonanza for free. Now, that will not be the case. You're going to get 50 free ones, and then you're going to start paying up to $20 a month. So again, at least there's a cap on it. $20 a month is not too hateful, but again, from free to anything is difficult. If you have more than 50 active listings, that listing fee will be just 3 cents per item and will apply to all the listings above that count. So it's not a ton of money per listing, but again, 3 cents is more than free. The maximum you can be charged is $20 a month. If you hit that $20 listing fee in a month, you'll also receive a $5 Bonanza ad credit, our way of saying thanks for keeping your booth thriving. Again, you can see the full details on their pricing page. The article continues. It's good to see Bonanza putting greater emphasis on buyer and seller protection, especially after some concerning security issues were brought to light by recent account hijacking attempts. We didn't cover that here, but a couple of months ago, there was a lot of issues over at Bonanza with accounts being hijacked. There is a link to that article from a couple of months ago in this article if you'd like to go check that out. Users, however, may consider that something Bonanza should have already been doing, as the cost of doing business may not be thrilled about it being used as the reason for increasing these fees, particularly since much of the damage done to trust in the platform over the last few years was self-inflicted, as Bonanza pursued controversial shipping fees and then met seller feedback of those changes with a heavy-handed moderation rather than a good faith dialogue. That is the reason I left Bonanza. I guess it's been almost 2 years ago now when they implemented that change in how they handled shipping and made it really difficult to manage, number one, and essentially were charging you a penalty for shipping off-site. I was done, despite the fact that I was only selling 1 or 2 things a month over there. The juice was just no longer worth the squeeze, and I got out. So let us know what you think of any of that. But that, my friends, is going to put a wrap on a pretty lengthy news recap. There's a lot going on there. Um, Let me know in the comments what you think of any of that. A bunch of stuff there. With that, let's get into some what sold. I believe I have 10 items this week. This first one over on eBay, Hucklebones Cozy Corner Series by Mickey Clar Marks and Irma Wild. This is a Whitman, kind of a board book from 1949, children's book. This was part of the big lot of books that I picked up in Findlay from my friend Aaron at no charge. This was listed for $24.99. Got a watcher. I sent out an offer and sold it for $21.24 plus shipping. $4.20 in fees. This did ship by Ground Advantage, so I saved 6 whole cents on the shipping, $4.57. Cost of goods sold, Zippo. So this book made me a net profit of $17.10. This World and the Beyond, the Marburg Sermons by Rudolph Bultmann. This is a ex-library book from 1960. This is one of the books I picked up at the big abandoned church library pickup. I don't even remember now, 500 and some books for $100 was right around that number. This was listed and sold on eBay for $24.99. This was a pretty hard to find book. I had originally listed this at auction starting, I believe, at $19.99. It got a couple of watchers, but nobody put a bid on it. So I relisted it as fixed price at $24.99 with a minimum acceptable offer of $20 and ended up selling it for that full price plus shipping. I paid $4.90 in fees. Cost of goods sold on this was 21 cents. So I made a net profit of $19.88. Again, old religious books for the win. Another one on eBay. Another one of these old kind of school books. This is Advanced Woodworking Workbook, revised edition by John L. Fire from 1960 with the answer keys. So this was kind of the teacher's edition of a kind of industrial arts book from the 1960s. Part of a big collection of these type of books I picked up at an estate sale last summer for 91 cents a piece. Listed and sold for $24.99 plus shipping over on eBay. Again, 91 cents cost of goods sold. So net profit, 19 and a quarter for this old woodworking workbook. Old CD. I've had this for, man, I'd hate to even think when I did that buy. Was that 2020? Probably I've had this 5 years. We talked about over the last couple of weeks old listings that supposedly disappeared and were no longer valid, and the eBay automatically deleted listings over a certain amount of time that had not sold. Here is another one of those. This was part of the big 8,000 plus CD lot from the summer of 2020 that I picked up for what worked out to about 4 cents a piece that has finally sold on sale. So here you go. Purple Violets film soundtrack by P.T. Walkley with the Blue Jackets. CD was from 2007. Again, part of a huge lot of CDs I picked up 5 summers ago now. This was on sale. I think I probably had this listed for something closer to $50 because it is a really, really difficult to find CD. It was marked down and on sale and sold for $27.99 plus shipping. Paid $5.26 in fees. This did ship by Ground Advantage again, so I saved a little bit of money on the shipping, just $4.14. Net profit on this CD, $23.18. So if you find this out in the wild, the Purple Violets film soundtrack, consider picking it up. Nice collection of books. This was part of the big 1,800 book lot from the estate buyout I did a couple of months ago. A Treasury of the Theater by John Gassner. This is a 3-volume hardcover box set in a slipcase from the 1950s. These books were published, if I remember correctly, in 3 successive years, and then this box set came out kind of at the end of the 1950s. The box was in really nice shape. The books were in fantastic condition. I own this for 50 cents, listed and sold on eBay for $29.99 plus shipping. Media rate shipping. Apparently I miscalculated how much stuffing I was going to put in this box because the buyer paid $11.38, and by the time I was done, it cost me $12.13 to ship. So I lost a little bit on the shipping with all the extra void fill in the box, but I wanted to make sure this set got there in the condition that it left here in. 644 in fees, 307 for a promoted listing fee, $12.13 to ship, 50 cents cost of goods sold, total profit 1923. Over on Etsy, this is another book from the big, whatever it was, 14,000 book lot from a couple of summers ago, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is a 1937 numbered edition. So I definitely can't see it on this picture, but at the top of the cover, these all had like a red ink stamp with a number. This was number 21,137. I don't know how many had been done, but a really interesting book. The dust jacket was in really bad condition, but you could still read the number, which made this a little bit more valuable. If the dust jacket had been in better condition, this is probably a $50 book all day. As it was, listed for $39.99 over on Etsy and sold in my 10% off sale for $34. This went to Canada, so the buyer paid $24.69. Again, somehow got a discount, despite the fact they're not in the United States, but we'll take it. I paid $5.82. This was purchased through an offsite ad link, so $8.80 in the offsite ad fee. Again, it's a 15% fee. Shipping was almost $25. 15% of $25 is a pretty big loss on shipping, to be fair. Fortunately, cost of goods sold was only 4 cents, so my net profit still came out at 1934. This is a book that in normal circumstances, there are millions of these books out there, but a particular one from the 1930s and a numbered edition is going to bring extra money. A lot of times I don't even look at these. This was part of a lot because I saw the number at the top. I'm like, let's look this up. Ended up being a $34 sale. Back over to eBay, Devil May Cry Level 3, the animated series, a Funimation DVD, new and sealed. $35.99 I got for this, which I had picked up at an estate sale for 50 cents. Part of a big manga and anime DVD purchase that I did, a little over a year ago now. Buyer paid a total of $43.97. I paid $6.45 in fees, $3.12 for the offsite ad fee. Again, that cost of goods sold 50 cents. Sent it out ground advantage, saved 6 whole cents on the shipping. Net profit $25.98. Not all anime and manga is going to bring that kind of money, but some of it is pretty valuable. I've talked about that sale on numerous occasions. I cleaned up on that. Some of it obviously has taken quite some time to sell. I've had this for more than a year, but from 50 cents to $35.99, I'm willing to wait. Another book from the Aaron pickup in Findlay, Caulked Shoes, Life in Adirondack Lumber Camps by Barbara Bird. This was a first edition, hardcover in its dust jacket, illustrated book from 1952. Not in terrific condition, a lot of damage to the dust jacket, a lot of wear. Pages were really tanned in this book, but it's a really unusual piece. $39.99 plus shipping is what this sold for. I paid $7.04 in fees. Shipping again was just $4.63. Cost of goods sold, a goose egg, nothing free. My favorite price. Net profit $32.95. Aaron, if you're watching, thank you once again. I appreciate it. Over on Etsy, C. Harold Smith, The Bridge of Life, a first edition signed illustrated copy published by the D. Appleton Company from 1929. Hardcover, no dust jacket, really hard to find book. Listed for $59.99, sold on sale for $53.99 plus shipping. $6.03 in fees, no offsite ad fee. Thankfully, part of the big 15,000 book lot from a couple of summers ago. Cost of goods sold 4 cents. Net profit $47.92. Nice flip. 2 more old books from that same big purchase. These were in terrible condition. These are The Ancient History of the Egyptians in 2 volumes by Charles Rowland. However, they were from 1853. So despite the fact that they were literally falling apart, I went ahead and listed them anyway. 1 volume, the front cover was completely detached. Both books, the cover, the leather cover of the spine was completely detached from the front hinge. They were in really, really rough shape. All the pages appeared to be there and intact. Quite a bit of tanning and foxing. Again, they're from 1853, so really, really old books in pretty rough condition. I've had them for a couple of years now, but they were just so unusual. I assumed eventually somebody would take a chance on them. I had them listed for $79.99 or best offer. I received an offer of $60, which I went ahead and took. Really neat old books. $60 plus shipping. The buyer's order total was $74.02. I paid $10.59 in fees, $5.26 for the promoted listing fee. These did cost a little bit less to ship. They went out ground advantage for $7.63. Cost of goods sold for these two, again from that big lot, 4 cents a piece, so 8 cents total net profit on this sale. 44.82. Really neat old books from 1853. Were they in pristine condition? I'd hate to think what they would probably have been worth. And that, my friends, is the flip of the week. And that's going to put a wrap on this week's episode. I hope everybody is having a terrific week. Let me know in the comments if you are or not. I will be here on Wednesday for a live. So feel free to join me for that. If you got something out of today's episode, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not currently a follower of the podcast or a subscriber to the YouTube channel, consider doing that as well. I would appreciate having you on board. And it looks like Tuesday evening at, I believe, 8 o'clock, I will be making a guest appearance over on Kat, the Nurse Flipper's Tuesday night podcast. So if you're not doing anything Tuesday evening, be sure to tune in for that. As I don't know who else is going to be there. I've made some suggestions to Kat, but I haven't heard back. So, but if you're not doing anything Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, come over for some more reselling chat. We'll probably spend a couple hours over on Kat's channel. So with that, my friends, it's been real and it's been fun, and we'll see you next time. I should probably hit this. You have been listening to the Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you again next time.